I had been on a couple of holidays and realised that life outside the UK seems a whole lot better. It's an unfortunate fact that many people from England don't ever learn another language. And I love Spain, I love the culture, I love the food. So I thought, why not try Spanish? Using Duolingo and listening to audiobooks, you can pick up some stuff audibly, but you don't get the chance to put it into practice.
How confident were you feeling within that very first year doing Duolingo and audiobooks and these kind of things?
Understanding, maybe 4 out of 10. Speaking, a 2. I was wasting my time before. Why not learn from someone who clearly knows what they're talking about?
Do you think you would have felt capable of doing that within that very first year that you were kind of self-learning?
Absolutely not. One of the big things that you've taught me and what we spoke about after the workshops is that I don't need to worry about getting it right all the time. There's no pressure in these classes. There's no pressure. It's about personal growth, you know. It makes me feel super, super confident that I could not just go to another country and have to mix with people that speak English, but maybe make friends with natives.
¿Qué tal, Alex? ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy cansado. El curso celta es súper intensivo, ¿no? Es difícil, pero es útil. También es
Claro.
útil.
Bueno, Alex, as you know, I want to have a chat with you about your journey learning Spanish. I think your process learning has been great. Big congratulations there.
Muchas gracias.
Okay, so first I wanted to ask you, why did you decide well, first, how long ago did you decide to learn Spanish?
Oh, God. I don't know exactly, but at least like 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. And what did you try when you first started learning?
So for about a year, because our lessons have been going on for nearly a year now, but for a year before that, I was doing Duolingo, as you know. And after about 6 months of that, I started doing some like podcasts or like audiobooks on the side as well as Duolingo.
Okay, so it's been 1 year doing things, kind of trying to self-learn on your own, then 1 year it's been 10 months, more or less.
Yeah, near enough.
Okay, so 1 year trying to self-learn on your own and 10 months that you've been with us. So Duolingo and then podcasts, audiobooks, things here and there. How confident were you feeling within that very first year doing Duolingo and audiobooks and these kind of things?
I would say understanding, maybe 4 out of 10. Speaking, a 2.
2 out of 10. Okay. And okay, before we move on, why did you decide to learn Spanish? Why did you decide to learn and why are you learning Spanish?
Well, I had been on a couple of holidays and realised that life outside the UK seems a whole lot better. But it's an unfortunate fact that many people from England don't ever learn another language. So I didn't want to be that guy, you know. If I was going to move abroad, I needed to learn another language. And I love Spain. I love the culture. I love the food. Everybody's really nice. So I thought, why not try Spanish? I already had a little bit of background from high school, so I thought, let's give it a go. Mostly for fun, with a view to perhaps use it in the future if I move away.
Okay, so let's say that your objective was traveling to Spain and a future possibility of moving to Spain.
Interacting with natives without being that giri who says, hablas inglés.
Okay, and what would you say was your biggest difficulty when you got started, you were with Duolingo and these things? What do you think was your biggest difficulty, taking into account your objective was to naturally interact with locals?
I think having that confidence, you know, using Duolingo and listening to audiobooks, you can pick up some stuff audibly, but you don't get the chance to put it into practice. You don't get the chance to build your confidence when approached with a situation where you actually have to say something on the fly and you just freeze because you haven't had that exposure to not only interacting with natives, but interacting with anyone who speaks Spanish, other learners, you know. So yeah, having that confidence and having that exposure to the language was the big I struggled with.
Okay, yeah, like basically not having anyone to like practice with and bring your Spanish to real life, right?
Exactly.
Okay, then do you remember how did you find me on Instagram or not?
You know, I think you came up, I think I was just scrolling and you had started a new account or something. And it just came up on my algorithm. I don't know. I think maybe you started a new account because you'd lost the previous one or something. And you're like, new account, looking for new students. So I just sent you a message. I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember something that resonated with you, or it was a long ago, you don't really remember that?
It was a while ago, but I think you just had this energy that I was like, yeah, you know, she seems really cool. She feels like somebody I could learn a lot from. So I was just like, why not? You know, why not? But then when we had that first conversation, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was wasting my time before. Why not learn from someone who clearly knows what they're talking about?
Okay, so then we started lessons. Since then, we've been doing, well, normal weekly lessons plus the conversation workshops with both other students plus Spanish locals. How do you remember how you were feeling on our very first lesson? You were nervous?
Absolutely. Super nervous. I felt a lot of pressure to get things right because it had been a while since I spoke Spanish. So I was like, oh my God, I need to revise. But as the lessons went on, I felt less and less like that because it was already in my mind. Do you know what I mean? I didn't feel anxious going into classes after a while. But the first lesson, yeah, super nervous, not very confident, a little bit anxious,
Okay. And how have you felt throughout the whole ongoing process of learning in the lessons, in the workshops?
Yeah, it's just been a constant growth, really. I've felt less and less nervous, less and less anxious, less as though I feel as like pressure to perform. If anything, one of the big things that you've taught me and what we spoke about after the workshops is that I don't need to worry about getting it right all the time. There's no right or wrong a lot of the time, and well, there is with some things, but it's more about what you want to say and learning from your mistakes and building upon things. There's no pressure in these classes. There's no pressure. It's about personal growth,
That's it. That's it. Okay, so your objective now, as we've already mentioned, is to move to Spain.
Or another Spanish-speaking country.
Oh, well, yeah, that's it. Or Bolivia, Mexico, which you mentioned. Yeah, okay. How confident do you feel at the moment to interact with a Spanish local? Imagine I take you and I drop you in Bolivia, Mexico, Spain.
Put it this way. In the summer, I went to Malaga with my friends from university, and there were 8 of us in this house. It was June, and it was really hot, and the aircon was broken when we arrived. So they sent some people from Argentina to come and fix it. And as they arrived, they started asking one of my friends loads of questions in Spanish, and they had no idea. And they were like, oh, Alex knows a bit of Spanish. And I went over and I managed to tell them where the problem was, what the problem was with, ask them where they were from, tell them where all of us were from, and had this whole interaction. And then when they left, all of my friends were literally like, what the hell? You didn't speak Spanish. And I was like, it was very basic stuff, but it was getting over that hurdle of trying to actually produce something and just going for it. And it paid off. The conversation went well. I interacted with natives who knew no English. They had to speak Spanish. And my accuracy might have been a 5 or a 6, but my confidence was up there at an 8.
Okay, your confidence was an 8.
To just take that leap and start speaking Spanish to them. There was no blank. There's no blankness. I just went for it. I just went straight in and did my best. And I think that's it. Might not have been the most accurate conversation, but having the confidence to go for it was the big thing.
Okay, so you've gone from a 2 out of 10, which is what you said at the beginning.
Yeah.
In terms of confidence?
To an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7.5. Okay,
a 7.5. Let's leave it there. Okay, did you get to speak to any other locals while you were in Malaga?
Loads, yeah, actually. I spoke to a couple of people, taxi drivers, telling them where I wanted to go. The whole time we were there, all of my friends were literally like, what the hell? You're so good at speaking Spanish. I think maybe that's because they didn't even try, to be honest with you. I was a little ashamed of them. But yeah, I had a couple of conversations with taxi drivers, and then when I was saying, oh, llevo 6 meses más o menos aprendiendo español, they were like, qué chulo, qué guay. It's super impressive. You speak really well, and it's super cool that you're learning. I think when we first arrived, I ordered in Spanish just at this place, and this lady was literally like, wow, the amount of tourists we get through here who just speak English, it's refreshing to hear somebody try,
Okay. Do you think you would have felt capable of doing that within that very first year that you were kind of self-learning?
Absolutely not. Having just the confidence in yourself and not looking like an idiot to go ahead and say, get up, un sandwich con queso, or something, just as simple as that. It's that confidence in yourself and your own ability to actually take the leap.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how do you feel towards the idea of moving to a Spanish-speaking country?
I feel good. I've been in a job that I don't really enjoy for like 4 years, and I'm doing the CELTA. I'm hoping to move into a career in teaching languages myself. And, having this base already, it makes me feel super, super confident that I could not just go to another country and have to mix with people that speak English, but maybe make friends with natives, learn from them while I teach and make it a two-way relationship.
Mm-hmm. So you want to teach English, right?
Yeah.
And what would you say is the thing that you found the most useful, or that you found the most powerful or useful throughout the whole process, the whole learning process?
I think having group activities has been really good for me. One-on-one classes with you have been really good as well, because you tailor the material to the learner really well. Focus on not step-by-step learning, but a very, very much a tailored experience where you learn things that seem useful and seem interesting, and shading bits here and there to help you get the bigger picture. But the group activities, when I ended up in a group with Rebecca and then the workshop with natives and the workshop with the rest of the learners, where, you know, you just end up in this dialogue where everybody's speaking Spanish and you feel more confident because there's other learners there who are also speaking Spanish that's not perfect. It makes you sort of more enthusiastic about giving it a go, you know?
Okay, like, so like having people around that is on the same journey, on the same boat.
Yeah, everyone, and having that opportunity to meet other people, you know, how often is it that you end up in a big group of people that are all learning Spanish unless you go to a language exchange once a week or something? Yeah, just getting put in that context and having that sort of dialogue, having that interaction with other learners, with natives, that was super cool. Getting to meet natives and being then forced to speak the language, you know, that you can't just go, oh, I'm just going to say it in English. You have to explain yourself in Spanish, and learning to paraphrase, learning to do all that stuff in the language is so useful for interacting with natives, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, the group activities that you've organized and put together, I've been super grateful for. And, you know, they build my confidence even more, knowing that other people have the same doubts that I do and everybody's on this journey together, you know?
Okay, amazing. So just one last question. What would you say to someone who is either thinking of trying something like Duolingo or an audiobook or podcast, which is what you tried, who is either thinking about doing it or who has been doing it for 1, 2, 3 years now?
I would say consider where you want to be with Spanish. You know, if you're learning it as just a silly pastime and you're not serious about it, do what you want, you know? But if you're serious and you want to speak and you want to interact with natives and you have goals that you want to achieve, you need to take that next step. You know, you're not going to get there with Duolingo. You're not going to get there by just listening. You've got productive and receptive skills that you need to develop. You know, you need to speak to people. You need to use your Spanish. You need to build your confidence when taking that step, like I said. And, you know, you need to speak to your NA about it.
Thank you. Okay, what about these people who are afraid of making mistakes, afraid of failure, afraid of trying and maybe not getting results? What
Yeah,
would you say to them?
honestly, that was me like a year or so ago. You know, like I said to you, I've seen things in black and white, right and wrong. The biggest thing that I've learned, maybe the most important thing to me, is that even if you make a mistake, that's a good thing. You should be making mistakes. You're not going to get it right every time, all the time. Your pronunciation, your grammar, you listening to things, you've got to listen over and over. You're not going to get it right the first time, but that's how I've been learning. And getting over the anxiety of being wrong has completely shifted my view of learning languages.
Okay, and so what would you say to them?
I would say, you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. Get past it, you know? Make those mistakes. That's how you'll learn. If you spend ages and ages sweating the small stuff, you won't get anywhere, you know?
That's it. Thank you very much, Alex. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think I've pretty much covered it all. You know, I'm excited to have these next few months, finish my CELTA, learn a bit more Spanish. Next year, maybe I'll be taking lessons in person. You never know.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
It'll be super cool.
Yeah, that would be super cool. Yeah, and I have very, very cool and interesting and useful, of course, things prepared for you. And I can't wait. I can't wait either.
Yeah, once I've got a plan set in stone about what I'm going to be doing with the teaching English thing and moving forward next year and stuff, I guess I'll have to have a plan for where I want my Spanish to be by that point, you know?
Yep. All right, Alex, amazing. Thanks a lot for this conversation.
Muchas gracias.
And muchas gracias a ti. Y nada, that's it.
Yeah, I'll see you in like 3 weeks.
In like 3 weeks. Amazing. Perfect.